Hello to you and welcome to Adelante Chicago. Bienvenidos. I'm Lourdes Duarte. Thank you so much for joining us today. Let's begin with the ComEd workers who just got back from Puerto Rico after spending some time there rebuilding that island. It's been nearly a year since that devastating hurricane, and just this week, more developments on the number of deaths estimated to have been caused by the hurricane. Puerto Rico's government began complying with a court order and released partial records. The data reveals that there were about 1,400 more deaths in the last 4 months of 2017 than the average over the 4 years before. Joining us now to talk a little bit about this trip, this wave of volunteers that just got back, we've got Jason Horta and Dan Brea, who are with ComEd. So thank you to the two of you for coming in and for your work.
Well, thank you. And thank you for having us here.
Yeah, and for your work. And you received quite a welcome home when you returned from Puerto Rico. Tell me about that and kind of how you feel to see all those people supporting you.
Well, it was special. You know, it's certainly something that I've never experienced. And, you know, Jason and I came back together on the same plane and, you know, coming into O'Hare Airport and having our families and friends and greet us, that was something special.
Yeah, and it's so nice that people are still supporting a lot of the work that's still going on the island.
It's incredible. Every day, people telling us, we don't know what we would have done without you. Yeah. Thank you for helping our family members. And incredibly enough, I mean, they keep saying, if it wasn't for ComEd, we don't know what would have we would have done. And that's this little function we had last week in Humboldt Park at the museum. I was just blown away. Yeah. I was happy to be part of it.
As you should be. You spent 31 days on the island, is my understanding. And you guys are one of the waves that went out there to help.
Right.
Talk about generally what you were able to do there. I was there with one of the crews as they were, you know, getting lights back on in some of the poorest neighborhoods, really. And that's basically what you were tasked to do.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Originally, we were supposed to work in San Juan, but when we got there, most of the work in San Juan was completed, and they reassigned us to the southeast area of Puerto Rico, in the Caguas, Calle, Aguas Buenas. I think you visited.
Aguas Buenas,
Aguas Buenas, and yeah, that's where we spent 60 days. You know, wave one, which Jason and I were part of, and then the second wave came in, and they continued the work that we did. In the 60 days that we're there, you know, very proud to say that we restored approximately 12,000 customers under very, very hard terrain, mountainous areas, a lot of challenges that we're not accustomed to, you know,
here at home. And that is the toughest part, because if you go to any of those areas, I mean, I was certainly in Aguas Buenas, where it is very hilly, just the infrastructure itself is
jungle, mountains, roads, dirt roads. When we got there, we met up with one of the ladies in Barranquitas, and it was raining for like 30-something days in a row. And when we told her that we were assigned to the area, she started crying. So she held my hand and another crew leader's hand, and she started praying. She prayed to God that for there to not be any more rain, for us to have sunny skies and good weather. And it did not rain 31 days we were there. I mean, every day we saw her, she was crying and she was so happy. And she's like, and she was clenching her hands, prayer works. And we're like, yeah, we know, Reina. So
and you needed that good weather to get some of that work done.
We didn't have one rain day, one day that we didn't get out to work. And you know, what Jason just mentioned, what was different about this was that it truly was a humanitarian effort, something that we've never experienced before.
Well, we're glad you were able to do the work. As you left the island, what do you think still needs to be done? I mean, this is going to be an effort that's going to go on for at least a decade, right? Yeah. So what still needs to be done as the basic things have been accomplished, right? So most of the people have power now, but this is a larger infrastructure development that they need to do in Puerto Rico. So talk about that, and I'll let you go ahead and go first.
It's probably going to start off with changing the form of power. I think they use oil, so they're probably going to need coal or even nuclear. I don't think solar panels are enough. All the solar panels were destroyed. And the wind farms, they were gone also. So they need multiple forms of generation, and they're probably going to have to set hundreds of thousands of new poles and probably 1 million miles of wire overhead and underground. You're talking about at least a decade. at least a decade.
And when
Yeah.
you think of all the work that you guys were able to do in the time you were there, that doesn't even scratch the surface.
Not even.
No, our focus there was to get customers back. I mean, when we got there, total devastation, especially in the up in the mountains where trees had come down and the poles were either washed away or broken from the trees coming
I've
down.
got to imagine it's difficult on you guys too. Like I mean, there were times when I was there and I had a couple of kind of minor breakdowns. So if you guys are in
yeah.
it, for weeks on end,
That was safety was our number one priority, and Jason can tell you that every morning we talked about how we're going to keep each other safe, the work that we're doing, making sure that we're following all our safety procedures. Driving was a huge challenge for us, getting up the mountains with our big trucks, and that's one of the first things that we did was kind of scope out the area, the landscape, and see how are we going to maneuver, how we're going to get our trucks up the mountains. And many times the guys had to actually carry the equipment because we couldn't get trucks into some of the areas.
this is heavy stuff.
We actually had to have safety talks with the customers in the neighborhoods also. We had to let them know at so-and-so time you have to make sure you're out of this area. When you see trucks positioned in this part of the town, please don't come over here. And they were more than willing to go above and beyond listening to our safety talk. And they actually participated also.
Do you, and I've got to wrap it up here, but do you feel like they are on the correct road to recovery at this point? Have they pretty much gotten everything as under control as they can?
Well, as of last week, I think the report was that they have 10,000 customers, about 10,000 customers that still need to be restored. A lot of the work, as we mentioned, was temporary, was just getting customers back. So the focus going forward now, like Jason mentioned, is installing new infrastructure, new poles, new equipment, and that will take a long time.
Well, we thank you for your work and really appreciate it. Good luck to you.
Thanks again.
Thank you so
do it
much.
again.
Thank you.